after turnovers that if anybody can ask me in any particular game, what's the most important factor in this game, I'm going to say the pass rush, because the passing game provides the explosive plays in college football. The passing game is what's run like 60% of the time now. The passing game has just become more and more important. Well, what's your best friend of a secondary? It's a pass rush. You can make a bad secondary look decent in particular games if your pass rush is getting home. Shoot, I could be back there, and the quarterback's got to throw the ball out of bounds because the pass rush just was there like that, and he didn't get his two beats to look and then throw. I watched Hawaii and UCLA on Saturday, and at halftime, the sideline reporter had made a comment that she heard Todd Graham, the Hawaii head coach, approach his quarterback because his quarterback was so frustrated. And this was not a first-time starting quarterback. He's been the quarterback for a couple of years. But I'm watching this game, and UCLA just, if you look at the stats, it didn't look devastating. They only had 2 sacks. But basically, they couldn't run their offense because the defensive line so overwhelmed the Hawaii offensive line. He's basically throwing the ball out of bounds or just getting rid of the ball almost every time they had a drop back. They just couldn't run their offense. And the head coach at halftime just had to say, basically, you can't do anything about everyone else. Just run the plays. Just run the plays. Keep your composure. Just run the plays and do your job. And that's going to be key against Bryce Young, obviously. Yes, Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, if they're on their back, they're not Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady anymore. They're not the greatest quarterbacks of all time if your pass rush is that good. But obviously, they're so good that they can do things to mitigate a pass rush, especially Aaron Rodgers because of his mobility. But if Bryce Young is not running for his life, if he's able to stand back there, then basically he might as well just be in practice in Tuscaloosa, because it's going to feel like he's just going through his progressions, boom, boom, boom. And regardless of how much little experience he has, he's going to feel pretty comfortable doing that.
Mark, that cannot happen. Cannot happen. I mean, a lot of people want to point to, I talk about 2017. That secondary was pretty good, but we had 3 first-time starters in that secondary. Okay, Malik Young was a starter the year before, but Mike Jackson, Jaquan Johnson, and Sheldrick Redwine, all 3 of them were all, that's not true, Liberty City boy. You know what? I will say, what you're saying right there, I have no knowledge of at this point in time right now, because Rewatch Squad get on me about not knowing everything about the Canes and things of that nature. So I do not know anything about Mark Pope not traveling with the team as of right now. I know he's been at practice and that he'll be at the game on Saturday. If I'm proven wrong at some other point, new evidence creates new opinions, in my opinion. As of right now, I don't know anything about that, family, but thank you. Anyhow, pass rush. That having Jalen Knight, having Joe Jackson, and having John Garvin, and the pass rush up the gut is what was getting them. RJ McIntosh, to me, was arguably the best player and the most important player on that defense because he was able to affect the passer from the interior. All right. And being able to get that rush in a QB's face. And again, like I say, stealing a down or 2. I mean, Mark, could you imagine this 3rd and 10 or 3rd and 4? Say, for example, quick 3rd and 4, which is manageable. You know, you get the 3rd and manageable. This guy who's been destroying the game beats your guard, and he wasn't able to get to the QB. You try to throw a slant, he just swats the ball down. 4th down, jog to the sideline. That's a part of the game when you have those long arms and limbs, and you're pressing that pocket backwards. And even if you're able to get, let's say, for example, you're driving a guard back and he's leaning like this here trying to block you, and all you're able to do is get a hand up to affect the passer. It's just being able to affect the throw, affect the passer. Sacking the quarterback is such a great luxury. But it's not just about that. It's about having him step off of his base or come a little bit to the left, so now that ball drifts out of bounds as opposed to hitting you right on the slide line, or being able to have a hand up in his viewpoint. So now instead of him being able to throw it with a little higher accuracy, it comes down because he has to kind of get the ball around your arms. You know, just those little things. And people don't think about it to that extent, but it's just that simple. It can be that. It can be that.
Some of my favorite plays in football are not the conventional plays. So I loved batted passes at the line. Like if I'm watching a game and I don't care who wins, I'm just watching the game for entertainment purposes, which is most of them. On Saturday, I'm watching games all day. I love seeing balls batted. I love seeing defensive linemen bat passes at the line. I don't know why I love watching that. I love seeing a D end with a speed rush come around the end and strip sack the quarterback. I love to see blocked punts and field goals. Those are fun to watch. Pick sixes are fun to watch.
I'm with you. And man, I tell you, when you bring in guys with that length and that size, everyone always brings up the Giants defensive line against the best team, the best record of all time between that long defensive line, because they weren't like big, like fat dudes. And the Miami Hurricane was on that defensive line, William Joseph, just to let you know. But they were huge, 6'5", 6'6", long wingspans, pass rush defensive line. And what they did was get back there and get their hands up. And then the other thing about swatted passes is when you swat it, it could swat in the air. Defensive end could jump and catch it. Heck, look at Darius Payne against Clemson years ago, where it hit the helmet and he caught it in stride and ran, you know, or linebacker could slide and catch it before it hits the ground. All those kind of things. You just being able to not necessarily cheat. It's just a part of the game that you are adding, especially when you know for a fact that we're probably going to be outmanned. We got to take those little things.
Wholesome one, you just brought back to me one of my favorite memories in the NFL. So I'm going to take everybody back, way back before you were watching anything. 1985, Giants Cowboys had the same record. They were playing for the division championship in the NFC East. Giants were in the red zone. Phil Simms gets a ball batted by Too Tall Jones, who was notorious for batting passes. It was recorded. That's why they called him Too Tall Jones. He was 6'9". He batted more passes by far than anybody in the league. Had a 15-year NFL career. Anyway,
doesn't he have the most career PBUs? I think somebody has that stat.
Yeah, Too Tall Jones. He bats a pass in the air with the Giants in their red zone, up ready to go up 2 touchdowns. And he bats a ball up in the air, gets picked off by the other defensive end, Jim Jeffcoat, who runs it like 80-some yards for a touchdown, and they win the division by a touchdown. And that was the difference in the whole division race. Batted pass.